Chapter 1, Title Page Poetry by Maria Lowell. Imprint this ebook is the product of many hours of hard work by volunteers for standard ebooks, and builds on the hard work of other literature lovers made possible by the public domain. This particular ebook is based on a transcription from the University of Virginia and on digital scans from the Internet Archive. The source text and artwork in this ebook are believed to be in the United States public domain. That is, they are believed to be free of copyright restrictions in the United States. They may still be copyrighted in other countries, so users located outside of the United States must check their local laws before using this ebook. The creators of and contributors to this ebook dedicate their contributions to the worldwide public domain via the terms in the CC 01. 0 Universal Public Domain Dedication. For full license information, see the uncopyright at the end of this ebook. Standard eBooks is a volunteer-driven project that produces ebook editions of public domain literature using modern typography, technology, and editorial standards, and distributes them free of cost. You can download this and other ebooks carefully produced for true book lovers at Standard Books. Org. Poetry. The maidens harvest there goeth, with the early light across a barren plain, one who with face as morning bright singeth, I come again. And every grain I scatter free, an hundredfold shall yield, till waveth like a golden sea this dark and barren field. She casteth seed upon the ground from out her pure white hand, and little winds steal up around to bear it through the land. She strikes her harp, she sings her song, she sings so loud and clear, Arise, arise, ye sleeping throng, and bud and blossom here. When o'er the hills she passed away, the spring remembered her, and came with sun and air of May the barren earth to stir, and dropping dew the spot did love, and lingered there till noon, and winds and rains moved on above in softly changing tune. So when the autumn cometh round, the golden heads bend low, and nearer to the ground their royal beard doth flow. The poor rejoice, in throngs they come to reap the dropping grain, their voices rise in busy hum, who hath sowed the plain, and who hath wrought such bounteous cheer where all before was dead. They bless the unseen giver dear who gave this daily bread. With harp in hand, a maiden bright passed slowly by the throng, with face as fair as sunset light the maiden sang her song. In morning time I sowed this plain, blessed may the evening be which gives back every little grain an hundredfold to me. Song, O bird, thou dartest to the sun when morning beams first spring, and I like thee would swiftly run, as sweetly would I sing. Thy burning heart doth draw thee up unto the source of fire, thou drinkest from its glowing cup and quenchest thy desire. O dew, thou droppest soft below, and pearlest all the ground, yet when the noontide comes, I know thou never canst be found. I would like thine had been my birth, then I without a sigh might sleep my night through on the earth, to waken in the sky. O clouds, ye little tender sheep, pastured in fields of blue, while moon and stars your fold can keep and gently shepherd you. Let me too follow in the train that flocks across the night, or lingers on the open plain, with new-shorn fleeces white. O singing winds that wander far, yet always seem at home, and freely play twixt star and star, along the bending dome, I often listen to your song, yet never hear you say one word of all the happy worlds that shine so far away. For they are free, ye all are free, and bud and dew and light can dart upon the azure sea and leave me to my night. O would like theirs had been my birth, then I, without a sigh, might sleep this night through on the earth to waken in the sky. The alpine sheep addressed to a friend, after the loss of a child when on my ear your loss was knelled, and tender sympathy upburst, a little spring from memory welled, which once had quenched my bitter thirst. And I was fain to bear to you a portion of its mild relief, that it might be as healing dew, to steal some fever from your grief. After our child's untroubled breath up to the Father took its way, and on our home the shade of death like a long twilight haunting lay, and friends came round with us to weep her little spirit's swift remove, the story of the alpine sheep was told to us by one we love. They in the valley's sheltering care soon crop the meadow's tender prime, and when the sod grows brown and bare, the shepherd strives to make them climb to airy shelves of pasture green that hang along the mountain's side, where grass and flowers together lean, and down through mist the sunbeams slide. But naught can tempt the timid things the steep and rugged path to try, though sweet the shepherd calls and sings, and seared below the pastures lie, till in his arms their lambs he takes, along the dizzy verge to go, then, heedless of the rifts and breaks, they follow on, o'er rock and snow. And in those pastures, lifted fair, more dewy soft than lowland mead, the shepherd drops his tender care, and sheep and lambs together feed. This parable by nature breathed blew on me as the south wind free o'er frozen brooks, that flow unsheathed from icy thraldom to the sea. A blissful vision through the night would all my happy senses sway, of the good shepherd on the height, or climbing up the starry way, holding our little lamb asleep, while, like the murmur of the sea, sounded that voice along the deep, saying, "Arise and follow me." Africa she sat where the level sands sent back the sky's fierce glare. She folded her mighty hands and waited with calm despair, while the red sun dropped down the streaming air. Her throne was broad and low, builded of cinnamon, a huge ivory, row on row, varying its columns dun, barred with the copper of the setting sun. Up from the river came the low and sullen roar of lions, with eyes of flame that haunted its reedy shore, and the neigh of the hippopotamus trampling the watery floor. Her great dusk face no light from the sunset glow could take, dark as the primal night air over the earth God spake, it seemed for her a dawn could never break. She opened her massy lips, and sighed with a dreary sound, as when by the sands eclipse bewildered men are bound, and like a train of mourners the columned winds sweep round. She said, "My torch at fount of day I lit, now smouldering in decay, through futures vast I grope my way. I was sole queen the broad earth through, my children round my knees upgrew, and from my breast sucked wisdom's dew. Day after day to them I hymned, fresh knowledge still my song o'erbrimmed, fresh knowledge which no time had dimmed. I sang of numbers, soon they knew the spell they wrought, and on the blue foretold the stars in order due. Of music, and they fain would rear something to tell its influence clear. Uprose my Memnon with nice ear, to wait upon the morning air, until the sun rose from his lair swifter, at greet of lutings rare. I sang of forces whose great bands could knit together feeble hands to uprear thought's supreme commands. Then, like broad tents, beside the Nile they pitched the pyramid's great pile, where light and shade divided smile. And on white walls in stately show did painting with fair movement go, leading the long processions slow. All laws that wondrous nature taught, to serve my children's skill I brought, and still for fresh devices sought. What need to tell? They lapsed away, their great light quenched in twilight grey, within their winding tombs they lay. And centuries went slowly by, and looked into my sleepless eye, which only turned to see them die. The winds like mighty spirits came, alive and pure and strong as flame, at last to lift me from my shame. For oft I heard them onward go, felt in the air their great wings row, as down they dipped in journeying slow. Their course they steered above my head. One strong voice to another said, "Why sits she here so drear and dead? Her kingdom stretches far away, beyond the utmost verge of day her myriad children dance and play." Then throbbed my mother's heart again, then knew my pulse's finer pain, which wrought like fire within my brain. I sought my young barbarians, where a mellower light broods on the air, and heavier blooms swing incense rare. Swart-skinned, crisp-haired, they did not shun the burning arrows of the sun, erect as palms stood every one. I said, these shall live out their day in song and dance and endless play, the children of the world are they. Nor need they delve with heavy spade, their bread on emerald dishes laid sets forth a banquet in each shade. Only the thoughtful bees shall store their honey for them evermore, they shall not learn such toilsome lore. Their finest skill shall be to snare the birds that flaunt along the air, and deck them in their feathers rare. So centuries went on their way, and brought fresh generations gay on my savannas green to play. There came a change. They took my free, my careless ones, and the great sea blew back their endless sighs to me. With earthquake shudderings off the mould would gape. I saw keen spears of gold thrusting red hearts down, not yet cold, but throbbing wildly. Dreadful groans stole upward through earth's ribbed stones and crept along through all my zones. I sought again my desert bare, but still they followed on the air, and still I hear them everywhere. So sit I dreary, desolate, till the slow-moving hand of fate shall lift me from my sunken state. Her great lips closed upon her moan, silently sate she on her throne, rigid and black as carved in stone. Jesus and the dove, a Catholic legend to AHW, with patient hand Jesus in clay once wrought, and made a snowy dove that upward flew. Dear child, from all things draw some holy thought, that like his dove they may fly upward too. Mary, the mother good and mild, went forth one summer's day, that Jesus and his comrades all in meadows green might play. To find the brightest, freshest flowers, they searched the meadows round, they twined them all into a wreath, and little Jesus crowned. Tired of play, they came at last and sat at Mary's feet, while Jesus asked his mother dear a story to repeat. And we, said one, from out this clay we'll make some little birds, so shall we all sit quietly and heed the mother's words. Then Mary, in her gentle voice, told of a little child who lost her way one dark, dark night upon a dreary wild, and how an angel came to her and made all bright around, and took the trembling little one from off the damp, hard ground, and how he bore her in his arms up to the blue so far, and how he laid her fast asleep down in a silver star. The children sit at Mary's feet, but not a word they say, so busily their fingers work to mould the birds of clay. But now the clay that Jesus held and turned unto the light, and moulded with a patient touch, changed to a perfect white, and slowly grew within his hands a fair and gentle dove, whose eyes unclose, whose wings unfold beneath his look of love. The children drop their birds of clay, and by his side they stand to look upon the wondrous dove he holds within his hand. And when he bends and softly breathes, wide are the wings outspread, and when he bends and breathes again, it hovers round his head. Slowly it rises in the air before their eager eyes, and with a white and steady wing, higher and higher flies. The children all stretch forth their arms, as if to draw it down. Dear Jesus made the little dove from out the clay so brown. Canst thou not live with us below, thou little dove of clay, and let us hold thee in our hands and feed thee every day? The little dove it hears us not, but higher still doth fly. It could not live with us below, its home is in the sky. Mary, who silently saw all that mother true and mild, folded her hands upon her breast, and kneeled before her child. The morning glory we wreathed about our darling's head, the morning glory bright. Her little face looked out beneath, so full of life and light, so lit as with a sunrise, that we could only say she is the morning glory bright, and her poor types are they. So always from that happy time we called her by that name, and very fitting did it seem, for sure as morning came, behind her cradle bars she'd smile to catch the first faint ray, as from the trellis smiles the flower, and opens to the day. But not so beautiful they rear their airy cups of blue, as turned her sweet eyes to the light, brimmed with sleep's tender dew. and not so close their tendrils fine round their supports are thrown, as those dear arms, whose outstretched plea called all hearts to her own. We used to think how she had come, even as comes the flower, the last and perfect added gift to crown love's morning hour. And how in her was imaged forth the love we could not say, as on the little dewdrops round shines back the heart of day. We never could have thought, O God, that she would wither up almost before the day was done, like the morning glory's cup. We never could have thought that she would bow her noble head till she lay stretched before our sight, withered and cold and dead. The morning glories blossoming will soon be coming round. We see their rows of heart-shaped leaves upspringing from the ground. The tender things the winter killed renew again their birth, but the glory of our morning has passed away from earth. In vain, O earth, our aching eyes stretch over thy green plain, too harsh thy dews, too cold thine air her spirit to detain. But in the groves of paradise, full surely we shall see our morning glory beautiful twine round our dear Lord's knee. The slave mother her new-born child she holdeth, but feels within her heart it is not hers, but his who can outbid her in the mart. And through the gloomy midnight her prayer goes up on high, God grant my little helpless one in helplessness may die. If she must live to womanhood, O may she never know, uncheered by mother's happiness, the mother's depth of woe. And may I lie within my grave before that day I see, when she sits, as I am sitting, with a slave child on her knee. The little arms steal upward, and then upon her breast she feels the brown and velvet hands that never are at rest. No sense of joy they waken, but thrills of bitter pain. She thinks of him who counteth all the gold those hands shall gain. Then on her face she looketh, but not as mother proud, and seeth how her features as from out a dusky cloud are tenderly unfolding, far softer than her own, and how upon the rounded cheek a fairer light is thrown. And she trembles in her agony, and on her prophet heart there drops a gloomy shadow down that never can depart. She cannot look upon that face, where in the child's pure bloom is writ with such dread certainty the woman's loathsome doom. She cannot bear to know her child must be as she hath been, yet she sees but one deliverance from infamy and sin. And so she cries at midnight with exceeding bitter cry, God grant my little helpless one in helplessness may die. Necklaces one that was a fair one which a queen pulled the great pearl from in her spleen, and drank its rich corroded sheen. And dazzling bright was that which met, and clasped its fatal diamond net about Maria Antoinette. And cool and fresh the dripping band which poor Undine with trembling hand snatched from the wave of Hildebrand. But better mine, a little thread of jasmine blossoms, tipped with red, as if in breaking they had bled. It was all sweetness, and to one whose life on shore had just begun, the very best beneath the sun. Malta, August 23, 1851. Cadiz, we saw fair Cadiz gleam out suddenly, white as if builded of the foam of ocean, white as a bride with orange blossoms free scattered upon her, and it seemed to me her sweet breath met us with the wind's least motion. And by her side a cloudy mountain rose, its top enfolding soft a purple tower. Such shapes sometimes our new world sunset shows, but thou, old mountain, on thy side still flower the very blooms of poor Zarepha's bower. And from thy purple turrets leaning low, thy course is seen, O shining Guadalquivir, rushing towards the sea, its waves to strew with leaves of old romance, and blend with ocean's flow fresh sighs for youth and beauty gone forever. Fade once again on the horizon's rim, take back the vision and the sweet emotion, O lovely Cadiz, bride so fair and dim. Drained is the cup thou filledst me to the brim, and dropped within the bluest wave of ocean. Written at sea off Cadiz. Rome the sun had set, the city gates were past, up swelled the mighty dome. The dream of childhood had come true at last, we were in Rome. The fountains trembled in their light and shade. The pale new moon was dropping down the sky. The pillars of the stately colonnade seemed to be marching by. And Rome lay all before us in its glory and its beautiful decay. But like the student in the oft-read story, I could have turned away to the still chamber with its half-closed shutter, where the beloved father lay in pain, to sit beside him in contentment utter, never to part again. The grace of Keats but one rude stone for him whose song revived the Grecian's plastic ease, till men and maidens danced along in youth perpetual on his frieze. Where lies that mould of senses fine men knew as Keats a while ago, we cannot trace a single sign of all that made his joy below. There are no trees to talk of him who knew their hushes and their swells, where myriad leaves in forest dim build up their cloudy citadels. No mystic signalled passion flowers spread their flat discs, while buds more fair swing like great bells in frail green towers to toll away the summer air. O Mother Earth, thy sides he bound with far-off Venus' warmer zone, with statelier suns thy landscape crowned, whose chiming voices matched thine own. O Mother Earth, what haste thou brought this tender frame that loved thee well. Harsh grass and weeds alone are wrought on his low grave's uneven swell. Rome, March 20, 1851. Avignon, the July day grew to a close, the fret of travel past. The cool and moonlit courtyard of the inn was gained at last, where oleanders greeted us between their stately ranks, as pink and proud as if they grew on native Indian banks. Seen from our chamber window's ledge, they looked more strangely fair, like blossomed baskets, lightly poised upon the summer air. When came the sultry morning sun, I did not care to go on dusty roads, but stayed to see my oleanders glow within their shadowy oasis. The pilgrimage was long to Petrarch's home. Hot alien winds dried up his dewy song. Though Laura's cheek with centuries sweet still blushes at his call, her blush was not so bright as yours, my oleanders tall. And fiercer grew the summer day, while in the court below the white-capped peasant women kept moving to and fro, with little laughs and endless talks, whose murmur rose to me like the spring-chats of careless birds from blossomed apple tree. And hearing it, I blessed the choice that kept me there that day, with my stately oleanders keeping all the world at bay. The masonry of Nismes was lost, but still I could not sigh, for Roman work looks sad when we have bidden Rome good-bye. Prison and castle of the Pope stood close upon the hill, but of castle and of prison my soul had had its fill. I knew that blood-stains old and dark clung to the inner wall, and blessed the lovely living bloom of oleanders tall. Thou pleasant, pleasant courtyard, I make to thee a crown of gems from Murray's casket, then shut the red lid down, contented if I still may keep, beneath a sky of blue, the tender treasure of the day when first my spirit knew thy quiet, and thy shadow and thy bird-like gossip, all enclosed within that sunset wreath of oleanders tall. Rowan, Place de la Pucelle, here blooms the legend, fed by time and chance, fresh as the morning though with centuries old, the whitest lily on the shield of France with heart of virgin gold. Along the square she moved, sweet Joan of Arc, with face more pallid than a daylit star, half seen, half doubted, while before her dark stretched the array of war. Swift passed the battle smoke of lying breath from off her path, as if a wind had blown, showing no faithless king but righteous death on the low wooden throne. He would reward her, she who meekly wore alike the gilded mail and peasant gown, as meekly now received one honour more, the formless, fiery crown. A white dove trembled up the heated air, and in the opening zenith found its goal, soft as a downward feather, dropped a prayer for each repentant soul. The sick-room a spirit is treading the earth, as wind treads the vibrating string. I know thy feet so beautiful, thy punctual feet, O spring. They slide from far-off mountains as slides the untouched snow. They move over deepening meadows as vague cloud shadows blow. Thou wilt not enter the chamber, the door stands open in vain. Thou art pluming the wands of cherry to lattice the window pane. Thou flushest the sunken orchard with the lift of thy rosy wing. The peach will not part with her sunrise though great noon bells should ring. O life and light and gladness tumultuous everywhere! O pain and benumbing sadness that brood in the heavy air! Here the fire alone is busy, and wastes like the fever's heat the wood that enshrined past summers as bounteous as fleet. The beautiful hanging gardens that rocked in the morning wind and sheltered a dream of fairy, and life so timid and kind, the shady choir of the bobolink, the racecourse of squirrels gay, they are changed into trembling smoke wreaths and a heap of ashes grey. An opium fantasy soft hangs the opiate in the brain, and lulling soothes the edge of pain till harshest sound, far off or near, sings floating in its mellow sphere. What wakes me from my heavy dream, or am I still asleep? Those long and soft vibrations seem a slumberous charm to keep. The graceful play a moment stopped, distance again unrolls like silver balls that softly dropped ring into golden bowls. I question of the poppies red, the fairy flaunting band, while I a weed with drooping head within their phalanx stand. Some airy one with scarlet cap, the name unfold to me of this new minstrel, who can lap sleep in his melody. Bright grew their scarlet kerchiefed heads as freshening winds had blown, and from their gently swaying beds they sang in undertone. Oh, he is but a little owl, the smallest of his kin, who sits beneath the midnight's cowl and makes this airy din. Deceitful tongues of fiery tints, far more than this you know, that he is your enchanted prince, doomed as an owl to go. Nor his fond play for years hath stopped, but nightly he unrolls his silver balls that, softly dropped, ring into golden bowls. A sonnet these rugged wintry days I scarce could bear, these rugged wintry days I scarce could bear. Did I not know that in the early spring, when wild March winds upon their errands sing, thou wouldst return, bursting on this still air like those same winds, when startled from their lair they hunt up violets and free swift brooks from icy cares, even as thy clear looks bid my heart bloom and sing and break all care. When drops with welcome rain the April day, my flowers shall find their April in thine eyes, but there the rain in dreamy clouds doth stay, as loath to fall out of those happy skies. And sure, my love, thou art most like to May, that comes with steady sun when April dies. Sonnet in the deep flushing of the western sky, in the deep flushing of the western sky, the new moon stands as she would fain be gone, and dropping earthward greet Endymion. If death uplift me, even thus should I, companioned by the silver spirits high and stationed on the sunset's crimson towers, bend longing over earth's broad stretch of bowers, to where my love beneath their shades might lie. For I should weary of the endless blue, should weary of my ever-growing light, if that one soul, so beautiful and true, were hidden by earth's vapours from my sight, should wane and wane as changeful planets do, and move on slowly, wrapped in mine own night. Sonnet to I love thee, not because thy love for me, like a great sunrise, did o'ervault my day with purple light, and wrought upon my way the morning dew in fresh emblazonry, nor that thou seest all I fain would be, and thus dost call me by mine angel's name, while still my woman's heart beats free of blame beneath the shelter of thy charity. Oh no! For wearily upon my soul would weigh thy golden crown of unbought praise, did I not look beyond the hour's control, to where those fruits of perfect virtue raise their bloom, that thou, Iruhail, with prophet eyes, didst name mine own, in groves of paradise. Sonnet I love thee for thyself alone, I love thee for thyself alone, thyself alone. For that great soul whose breath most full and rare shall to humanity a message bear, flooding their dreary waste with organ tone. The truth that in thine eyes holds starry throne and coins the words that issue from thy lips, heroic courage that meets no eclipse and humbler virtues on thy pathway strewn. These love I so, that if they swift uprise to sure fulfillment in more perfect spheres, still will I listen underneath the skies for thy new song, with seldom dropping tears, and midst my daily tasks of love will wait the angel Death, guardian of heaven's gate. Memories of waters, an unfinished poem, found among her papers, O hue of the Mediterranean Sea, from thy sapphire cradle flash back on me. Thine is the bluest life that clings to the weary earth. Bright central springs bubble up with thine azure, and never fail though the great dome above thee curve cloudy and pale. When the sunset lingers by Capri's side and throws across it a golden fleece, thou swellest along in bluest pride, stretching on to beautiful Greece, and siren voices drip with the oar. Deeper, bend deeper to learn our lore, the violet's secret grows not on the shore. And thou, O Como, O purple one, did I not watch thee when day was done, with cheek bent sideway and half-closed eyes, that wooed from thy beauty a fresh surprise, as a great broad curtain, dropping down from the sweet horizon's ample crown, a Tyrian curtain, whose edges were wrought with villas and gardens, and all that thought can find most lovely in dwellings of men, deep fringes of vineyards all round thee, and then a dream of great snow peaks throned over all. Thy purple is worthy those kings so tall. In the hills of Scotland you come upon strange waterfalls that the light of the sun glances away from through birches thin. They fall with a slow and hollow din into dark, still pools where you look down deep to see the black surface. No Lowell there sits singing and combing her golden hair, but Bunyan's visions across you creep, with a haunting feeling of one who came, her heart all trembling and stung with shame, and bending down to the pool's black stir, saw giant despair looking up at her, and heard him call from the hollow din till she, too ready, sank sighing in. Pour down, O Trenton, thy amber screen, that the pool's dim surface no more be seen. Gay reveller, tossing away thy wine, thy golden sherry, whose hue divine was never spurred in the clustering vine. 'Tis autumn who feeds thee. Her banners she flings across thy full sources, and shakes in thy springs her whole wealth of colours, leaves orange and red, green, purple and mottled, an emperor's bed for thy waters to dream on. And when they awake, into flashes of gold and of amber they break. O type of glad youth, forever be hung with garlands of faces all rosy and young. Endnotes, the boys in the streets of Malta string the jasmine blossoms, and give or sell them to the passers-by. Write colophon poetry was published in 1907 by Maria Lowell. This ebook was produced for Standard eBooks by C. B. Bowman, and is based on a transcription from the University of Virginia and on digital scans from the Internet Archive. The cover page is adapted from Melancholia, a painting completed in 1615 by Domenico Fetti. The cover and title pages feature the League Spartan and Sorts Mill Gaudi typefaces created in 2014 and 2009 by the League of Movable Type. This edition was released on July 18, 2026, 7:12 p.m., and is based on revision 3E979C0. The first edition of this ebook was released on July 18, 2026, 7:12 p.m. You can check for updates to this ebook, view its revision history, or download it for different e-reading systems at Standard Books. org/ebooks/Maria Lowell/poetry. The volunteer-driven Standard eBooks project relies on readers like you to submit typos, corrections, and other improvements. Anyone can contribute at Standard Books. Org. Uncopyright, may you do good and not evil. May you find forgiveness for yourself and forgive others. May you share freely, never taking more than you give. Copyright pages exist to tell you that you can't do something. Unlike them, this uncopyright page exists to tell you that the writing and artwork in this ebook are believed to be in the United States public domain. That is, they are believed to be free of copyright restrictions in the United States. The United States public domain represents our collective cultural heritage, and items in it are free for anyone in the United States to do almost anything at all with, without having to get permission. Copyright laws are different all over the world, and the source text or artwork in this ebook may still be copyrighted in other countries. If you're not located in the United States, you must check your local laws before using this ebook. Standard ebooks makes no representations regarding the copyright status of the source text or artwork in this ebook in any country other than the United States. Non-authorship activities performed on items that are in the public domain, so-called sweat of the brow, work, don't create a new copyright. That means that nobody can claim a new copyright on an item that is in the public domain for, among other things, work like digitization, markup, or typography. Regardless, the contributors to this ebook release their contributions under the terms in the CC01. 0 Universal Public Domain Dedication, thus dedicating to the worldwide public domain all of the work they've done on this ebook, including but not limited to metadata, the title page, imprint, colophon, this uncopyright, and any changes or enhancements to, or markup on, the original text and artwork. This dedication doesn't change the copyright status of the source text or artwork. We make this dedication in the interest of enriching our global cultural heritage, to promote free and libre culture around the world, and to give back to the unrestricted culture that has given all of us so much.